Hey everybody, welcome back to the vlog. Welcome back to Venomous Garage. Wanted to give you guys a quick update on the Viper. On the last video, if you haven't seen it, I'll put the link in the description above here. We were having some battery charging system issues here, throwing some cells. Basically what was going on is when I go over 4,000 or 5,000 RPM, the battery lamp is triggered and the battery is no longer being charged. So I went through the process of elimination basically. First, I made sure all the grounds were tight, which they were, especially when the motor is fresh. You know, there's always a situation where maybe, a few of the bolts were not tightened up or whatever have you, and, that can easily be overlooked. So I went underneath the car, I tightened all the ground wires and such. That didn't help. Then I took the alternator out, I took the battery out, I took them to the local auto parts store, and they both passed the bench, the load test. But since I was still having battery charging system issue, I started to replace the battery, which didn't help. Then I replaced the alternator, which didn't help. Then I replaced the serpentine belt and swapped back to my stock lower pulley, which this had an aftermarket IPSCO pulley on there. That didn't help. Oddly enough, what ended up solving this issue was the local guy at the auto parts store. Oddly enough, when I'm buying the battery, I'm describing my issue to him, and he's saying, hey, if your car is cranking slowly, or if it's labored cranking, and maybe it could be, the wires to the starter motor itself. So sure enough, I went down, I took the belly pan off just to kind of look at all the wiring that's going back to the motor, or from the battery to the motor. Everything seemed fine. But what I did was I took apart the positive, negative to the starter motor, hit all that stuff with the brake parts cleaner, clean all the leads up, bolted them back up together pretty snug and tight, and I fired it up, and the first thing I noticed was it cranked up really easily and powerfully, like the starter was getting a lot of power. Then I started revving it. I revved it up to 5,000-6,000 RPM consistently, and it wouldn't trigger the lamp. So then I took it out for a drive. I went out on my favorite back roads, romping it, trying to get to 6,000 RPM as much as I can, and it's not triggering that lamp anymore. So what I'm suspecting what ended up happening was I had poor connectivity, to the starter motor, and essentially that's a complete electrical circuit, right? So if there's something, a little bit of an issue there, we would have, a problem throughout the electrical system. So hopefully that solved it. So far, there's no, knock on wood. So far, there's no check engine light or battery lamp or anything like that. So we're on for the Shelby Nationals. The Viper is going to be on the road course. I'm going to do some general maintenance on it right now, make sure all the fluids are ready. First time on the road course with this thing, so I'm not really planning on going crazy with this thing, but I do want to experience 700 horsepower on the racetrack, so that's going to be pretty cool. So stay tuned for that video. For all those guys that chimed in, gave me tips to hunt this issue down, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So please like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification, so when the Shelby National videos are up, you guys are able to check it out and see how the Viper runs up against all the other Shelbys out there. Take care. Have a good one.